The moment that changed everything, when respect turned into control. Nothing cuts deeper than disrespect from your own blood. Let me tell you something. Nothing cuts deeper than disrespect from your own blood. A stranger can insult you and you walk away. A coworker can talk down to you and you shake it off. But when it comes from someone you raise, someone you loved, someone you sacrificed for, it hits different. It doesn't just hurt your ears. It hits your heart. You start asking yourself, how did we get here? What changed? Was I too kind? Too available? Too silent? The truth is this: pain from family feels heavier because it carries history. It carries memories. It carries years of giving without keeping score. And when that giving is repaid with control, it feels like betrayal. But listen carefully. Pain is not weakness. Pain is a signal. It tells you something is wrong. And if you ignore that signal, you teach people that your feelings don't matter. Disrespect from your own blood is not just a bad moment. It is a wake-up call. If you don't work for me, you can leave. The sentence that shook everything. Then came the sentence that changed everything. If you don't work for me, you can leave. Read that again in your mind, not a request, not a conversation, a demand. In that moment, love was replaced with pressure. Home felt less like shelter and more like a contract. And that sentence did not just question your role. It questioned your worth. Let me ask you this. Since when does love come with conditions? Since when does family become a workplace where you are unpaid but expected to perform? Those words were not just words. They revealed something deeper. They showed that your kindness had slowly been mistaken for obligation. And when someone believes they can remove you the moment you stop serving them, that tells you something powerful. It tells you they value your function more than your presence. That sentence shook everything because it forced you to see the truth you had been avoiding. When did love turn into leverage? When did love turn into leverage? Think about that. Love is supposed to lift. It is supposed to protect. It is supposed to support. But somewhere along the way, it became a tool. If you care about me, you will do this. If you love me, you won't say no. That is not love. That is pressure dressed up as love. Have you ever said yes just to keep peace? Have you ever agreed to something because you were afraid of what would happen if you didn't? That is how it begins. Love turns into leverage when fear enters the room. Fear of conflict, fear of rejection, fear of being pushed aside. But real love does not threaten. Real love does not control. Real love does not say, serve me or leave. If love is being used to control you, then it is no longer love. It is a tool, and you were never meant to be controlled, helping or serving. The line we never meant to cross. There is a difference between helping and serving. Helping is a choice. Serving under pressure feels like a duty. At first, you helped because you cared. You stepped in because you wanted to. You gave your time, your energy, your effort, and you did it with a full heart. But slowly, something shifted. The request became an expectation. The expectation became a demand. The demand became a rule. And now, if you don't do it, there is tension. There is attitude. There is threat. That is the line you never meant to cross. Helping should feel free. Serving under pressure feels heavy. If you don't define your role, someone else will define it for you. And if you don't draw the line early, people will keep moving it. You were meant to support, not surrender. You were meant to care, not collapse. The day you realized respect was no longer mutual, there comes a quiet day when you realize something painful. Respect is no longer mutual. You still speak kindly. You still show care. But the tone coming back to you feels different, sharper, colder, entitled. You start noticing small things. The way your effort is ignored, the way your time is assumed, the way your needs are dismissed. And that realization, hurts. Because respect is not supposed to be one-sided. The moment you see that you are giving more respect than you are receiving, you must pause, not to fight, but to think. Respect is like oxygen, you only notice it when it's gone. Respect is like oxygen, you don't notice it when it's there, but the moment it's gone, you feel it. You feel the pressure, you feel the tightness, you feel the weight. When respect disappears, everything becomes harder. Conversations feel tense, simple requests feel heavy. Even silence feels loud. And here is the truth. You cannot survive long where respect is missing. Not emotionally, not mentally. So what do? You stop pretending you can breathe in a space that suffocates you. You recognize the lack. You accept the truth. And without self-respect, you cannot survive either. How did we get here? When love becomes exploitation, it didn't happen overnight. It happened one small yes at a time, let's be honest. This did not explode in one day. It grew quietly, slowly, one small yes at a time. The first time it felt harmless. The second time it felt generous. The third time it felt normal. That is how lines disappear, not with drama. With silence, you did not wake up and agree to be used. You simply kept saying yes because it felt easier than saying no. Easier than explaining. Easier than risking tension, but small yes after small yes builds a pattern. And patterns shape how people see you. If you do not guard your small yes, it becomes someone else's big expectation, and one day you look around and wonder how something that began with love now feels like pressure. You help once, you help twice. Then it becomes expected. You help once, gratitude. You help twice, appreciation. You help 3 times. Silence. Suddenly, no one asks if you are okay with it. They just assume what used to be can you turns into you will. This is how expectation grows, not because you are weak, but because you are reliable. And reliability without limits invites misuse. Look at many workplaces. The hardest worker often gets the most tasks, not because they are paid more, but because they do not push back. It is the same at home. When you always step up, people stop noticing the effort, and when effort becomes invisible, it becomes expected. If you do not remind people that your help is a choice, they will treat it like a duty. Love given freely versus help given under pressure. There is a clear difference between love given freely and help given under pressure. Love feels light. It feels like you are choosing it. Pressure feels heavy. It feels tight. It feels like you have no option. When you help freely, you feel peace. When you help under pressure, you feel drained. Ask yourself this. Do you feel joy when you give, or do you feel tension? It does not threaten to remove you if you pause. If your giving is driven by fear instead of care, then something is wrong. Love should fill you, not empty you. Support or servitude. Know the difference before it's too late. Support stands beside someone. Servitude stands beneath them. Support says, we are in this together. Servitude says, you owe me. One builds connection. The other builds control. If you are afraid to say no, you are not supporting. You are surviving, and survival inside your own home is not healthy. Before it goes too far, ask yourself, am I respected here, or just relied on? Do not wait until resentment builds. Do not wait until anger explodes. Know the difference now. If you don't define your role, someone else will. Here is a hard truth. If you do not define your role, someone else will, and they may not define it in your favor. If you never say what you are willing to do, people assume you're willing to do everything. Silence creates space, and others will fill that space with their expectations. Clear roles protect you. They protect your time. They protect your energy. If you do not speak up, you silently agree. And silence is often misunderstood as permission when your mouth says, Yes, but your heart is screaming no. Have you ever smiled and said yes while your chest felt tight? That tight feeling is your inner warning. When your mouth says yes, but your heart screams no. You are betraying yourself. At first, it feels small. But repeat it enough times and you stop trusting your own voice. You begin to ignore your instincts. You push down your feelings. And every time you do that, you move further away from who you are. Listen to that inner voice. It is there to protect you. A bridge is meant to be crossed, not lived on. Think about a bridge. It is built to help people cross from one side to another. It is not built for people to set up camp on it. You can support someone through a season, but you were never meant to carry them forever. If people start living on your kindness, the structure will weaken. You are a human being, not a permanent solution to someone else's demands. Help. Yes. Carry forever. No. The trap of guilt. Why we stay quiet after everything I've done for you. The weight of emotional debt. Few sentences carry more weight than this one. After everything I've done for you. It sounds powerful. It sounds heavy. And suddenly you feel like you owe something you can never fully repay. This is emotional debt. And it can trap you. Instead of gratitude, you feel pressure. Instead of love, you feel burden. Healthy love does not keep a list. It does not remind you of past favors as a tool to control your present. Think about parents who remind their children daily of sacrifices. That reminder slowly turns love into obligation. Giving should come from care, not from a future claim. You are not a debt to be collected. You owe me. The language of control disguised as love. You owe me. Those words may not always be spoken directly. Sometimes they are implied through tone, through attitude, through guilt. But love should not feel like a loan. If someone only treats you well when you are useful, that is not love. That is control. Control says, stay in line or face consequences. Love says, I care about you even when you say no. Learn to hear the difference, because control often wears the mask of care. Guilt is not gratitude, and obligation is not. Love, let this sink in. Guilt is not gratitude. Obligation is not love. Gratitude feels warm. Guilt feels heavy. Love feels free. Obligation feels forced. If you are acting out of guilt, your heart is not at peace. You're reacting to pressure, real. Love allows space. It allows disagreement. It allows boundaries. When guilt becomes your main reason for giving, resentment is not far behind. You cannot build healthy connection on forced giving. The fear of losing connection keeps you hooked. Why do we stay quiet? Because we are afraid of losing connection. We fear distance. We fear rejection. We fear being pushed out. So we accept treatment we know is wrong just to stay close. But let me tell you something. A connection that depends on your silence is already weak. If someone leaves the moment you speak your truth, they were connected to your service, not to you. Connection built on fear is fragile. Real connection can survive honesty. The fear of being called selfish silences your truth. Many people stay quiet because they do not want to be called selfish, but saying no does not make you selfish. It makes you aware. Selfishness is taking without care. Protecting your limits is not selfish. It is healthy. If someone benefits from your silence, they will try to label your voice as wrong. Do not accept that label. Your needs matter too. The fear of being alone feels stronger than the pain of being used sometimes. The fear of being alone feels worse than being used. So you choose to stay. You tell yourself it is better than nothing, but being surrounded and still feeling empty is a deeper loneliness. It is better to stand alone with dignity than to stand crowded. Without respect. Alone does not mean unloved. It means you chose yourself. You stay quiet. You shrink. You pretend it's temporary. You stay quiet. You shrink your opinions. You tell yourself it's just for now. but now turns into months. Months turn into years, and the temporary becomes permanent. Silence may avoid conflict today, but it builds regret tomorrow. Guilt is a chain made of invisible links. Guilt is like a chain made of invisible links. No one sees it, but you feel it. Each reminder, each comment, each sigh adds another link. Soon you feel stuck, but remember this. Invisible chains can be broken too. You break them by choosing truth over fear. If guilt leads the way, resentment will be the destination. If guilt leads your decisions, resentment will follow. You may smile on the outside, but inside frustration grows. And one day it explodes. Better to set a boundary early and to explode later. Do not let guilt drive your life. The cost of staying silent, what you really lose. Silence feels safe, but it slowly steals your dignity. Silence feels safe. At first, no argument, no tension, no drama. But every time you stay silent when you should speak, something inside you weakens. Dignity fades quietly. You start accepting less than you deserve. Safety without respect is not real safety. The quiet loss of identity. Who are you becoming? When you constantly adjust to please others, you lose pieces of yourself. Your opinions fade. Your preferences disappear. One day you look in the mirror and ask, who am I now? Losing identity does not happen loudly. It happens slowly, and it happens when you silence your truth too often. Peace should not require self-betrayal. Peace is important, but not at the cost of yourself. If keeping peace means betraying your values, that peace is false. True peace includes respect. It includes balance. You should not have to disappear to keep calm in your own space. Short-term comfort, long-term damage. Which will you choose? It is comfortable to avoid conflict today. But what about next year? What about 5 years from now? Short-term comfort can create long-term damage. You may avoid one hard talk now, but you create a pattern that is harder to break later. Choose wisely. What is the real price of your silence? Ask yourself honestly. What is the real price of your silence? Is it your peace? Your self-respect? Your happiness? Silence is not free. It costs you something. Make sure you know what you're paying. How much of yourself are you willing to trade? How much are you willing to trade just to avoid discomfort? Your time? Your energy? Your voice? If you keep trading pieces of yourself, soon there will be little left. You are not meant to disappear to keep others comfortable. When you abandon yourself, others learn to do the same. When you ignore your own needs, others learn that they can ignore them too. You teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. If you abandon yourself, do not be surprised when others follow that example. Every yes to disrespect is a vote against your own value. Every time you say yes to disrespect, you vote against your own value. You send a message that this is acceptable. And people believe what you allow. If you want change, start by changing what you accept. Your value begins with you. The turning point, the day you decide enough. Quiet moment when you realize something has to change. Change does not always come with shouting. Sometimes it comes in silence, a quiet moment, a deep breath, a heavy realization. You sit there and think, I cannot keep living like this. No drama, no scene, just clarity. You replay the words, the tone, the patterns, and suddenly you see it clearly. This is not just one bad day. This is a cycle. That quiet moment is powerful because it is honest. It is the moment you stop blaming yourself, the moment you stop making excuses for others, the moment you admit that something is wrong. Many people ignore this moment. They distract themselves. They push it down. But when you face it, that is the beginning of change. Every strong shift in life begins with a quiet decision. And that decision is simple. Enough. From hurt to clarity. When emotions stop controlling you, at first you feel hurt. Deep hurt, you feel anger, you feel sadness, you feel disbelief, but then something shifts. You stop reacting. You start thinking. Clarity replaces chaos. You realize that anger alone will not fix this. Tears will not fix this. Silence will not fix. This only truth will dot when emotions calm down, your mind becomes stronger. You begin to see patterns instead of moments. You stop asking, why would they do this to me? You start asking, why did I allow this for so long? That question is not about blame. It is about power, because when you see your part, you gain the power to change it, Clarity is strength. You can love someone and still say, no, let me say this. Clearly, you can love someone and still say no. Love does not mean unlimited access. It does not mean endless sacrifice. It does not mean silent suffering. Think about healthy parents. They love their children deeply, but they still say no when needed. Builds respect. No builds balance. If your love requires you to erase yourself, that is not healthy love. Saying no does not destroy love. It defines it. If someone's care disappears the moment you set a limit, then their care was tied to your service. Real love can handle a boundary. You can care deeply and still draw a line. Caring deeply does not mean you must tolerate everything. Can wish someone well and still refuse to be used. You can support their dreams and still protect your time. Drawing a line is not rejection. It is direction. It tells people where you stand. Without lines, everything becomes messy. With lines, there is clarity. You're allowed to care. And you are allowed to protect yourself at the same time. Those two things can exist together. Not angry, not bitter. Just done. There is a powerful place you reach one day. Not angry, not bitter. Just done. You stop arguing in your head. You stop trying to convince anyone. You stop hoping they will magically understand. You accept reality, and acceptance is calm. It is not loud. It is steady. Being done does not mean you hate anyone. It means you respect yourself enough to stop participating in what hurts you. That calm strength is powerful. What example are you setting by accepting this? Ask yourself something important. If someone younger was watching you, what would they learn? Would they learn to accept disrespect? Would they learn to stay silent when hurt? Children copy what they see. Friends copy what they see. Even partners learn from what you allow. By accepting poor treatment, you teach others that it is normal. That by standing up calmly, you teach strength. Your actions are lessons. Make sure you're teaching the right one. What message are you sending about your worth? Every time you tolerate less than you deserve, you send a message, not just to others, to yourself. You tell yourself, this is enough for me. Is it? Your worth is not defined by how much you endured. It is defined by how you value yourself. If you treat your time like it is cheap, others will too. Value begins inside. A fence protects a garden. It doesn't declare war. Think about a garden. It has a fence, not to attack neighbors, not to start fights, but to protect what is growing inside. Your boundaries are that fence. They are not about hate. They are about protection. Protection of your peace. Protection of your energy. Protection of your dignity. Calm firmness is power. Explosions are weakness. Exploding may feel strong, but it is not. True power is calm. It is steady, clear, direct. Calm firmness says, this is my limit. And it does not need to shout. Boundaries are not betrayal. They are self-respect. Setting limits does not mean you stopped loving many people. Confuse limits with rejection. They think if you say no, you no longer care. That is not true. Setting limits means you care enough about the relationship to keep it healthy. Without limits, relationships become one-sided. Even strong friendships survive because both sides respect boundaries. When you stop setting limits, frustration builds quietly, and Quiet frustration turns into distance. If you want love to last, protect it with clear lines. Limits do not end love. They protect it. They may call you selfish. Stand anyway the moment you change. Some people will react. They may say, "You've changed." They may say, "You only think about yourself now." But protecting your peace is not selfish. Selfishness takes without giving. You have been giving, now you are simply choosing balance. Stand anyway. You do not need everyone to agree with your growth. Growth often makes comfortable people uncomfortable. That does not mean you are wrong. They may call you dramatic. Stay grounded. Some will try to make your boundary look like a problem. They will say you are overreacting, but asking for respect is not drama. Raising your voice is not required to be firm. Stay grounded. Speak clearly. Repeat if needed. Do not get pulled into emotional games. Calm repetition is stronger than loud reaction. When you stop being useful, some people stop being nice. Here is a hard truth. When you stop being useful, some people stop being nice. Pay attention to that shift. If kindness disappears when service stops, that tells you everything. You deserve to be treated well for who you are, not for what you provide. This realization may hurt, but it also frees you, because now you see clearly, and clarity is strength. Are you loved for who you are or for what you provide? Ask yourself honestly, if you could no longer give the same time, energy, or help, would the treatment change? If yes, then the connection may be built on convenience. Love should not depend on performance. You are not a task. You are not a tool. You are a person with feelings, limits, and needs. You are not an ATM, not a machine. You are human. You are not an ATM that dispenses time and effort on demand. You are not a machine that runs without rest. You are human. Humans need breaks. Humans need appreciation. Humans need fairness. If someone treats you like a resource instead of a person, it is time to correct that your humanity matters more than your usefulness. Never forget that. You deserve rest. You deserve respect. You deserve reciprocity. Say this to yourself. You deserve rest. You deserve respect. You deserve reciprocity. Giving should not be one way. Rest is not laziness. It is recovery. Respect is not a gift. It is a basic need. And reciprocity means balance. Speak clearly. Stand calmly. Apologize for nothing when you set a boundary. Keep it simple. No long speeches. No anger. No guilt. Just clarity. I cannot do that. That does not work for me. I need balance. Stand calmly. Do not apologize for protecting yourself. You are not wrong for having limits. Reclaiming power. Choosing dignity over fear. Fear says comply. Strength says stand. Fear whispers, just agree. Keep peace. Avoid conflict. Strength says stand. Fear wants comfort now. Strength wants respect later. Every time you choose to stand, even with shaking hands, you grow. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action despite fear, and each small act of standing builds inner power. If they threaten to remove you, were you ever secure? If someone says they will remove you the moment you stop serving, ask yourself something honest. Were you ever secure? There? Security built on performance is fragile. True security is built on respect. If your place depends on constant service, it was never stable. And seeing that truth may hurt, but it also sets you free. What are you afraid of losing? What are you? Afraid of losing approval, comfort, a title, a role? Sometimes we cling to labels more than we cling to dignity. But if keeping that role requires losing yourself, is it worth it? Fear magnifies loss, but staying small costs more in the long run. Face the fear. Name it. It becomes smaller when you confront it. Are you already losing by staying? While you fear losing something, look at what you are already losing. Peace. Energy. Self. Respect. That you may think you are protecting something by staying silent, but silence has its own cost. Count both sides honestly. You may realize you are losing more by staying than by leaving the pattern. You can't hold your head high. If you're always bowing, you cannot hold your head high. If you are always bowing to pressure. Posture matters. When you constantly lower yourself to keep others comfortable, your confidence weakens. Standing straight is not pride. It is dignity. Lift your head. You deserve to take up space. Stand firm. Stand calm. Stand clear. Stand firm in your decision. Stand calm in your tone. Stand clear in your message. No confusion. No mixed signals. People respect clarity more than hesitation. The more steady you are, the stronger you feel inside. Dignity over fear every single time. At the end of the day, choose dignity over fear. Fear will always try to guide you toward comfort. Dignity guides you toward respect. Comfort fades. Respect builds. Every time you choose dignity, you grow stronger. And that strength changes everything. The bigger lesson this is about every relationship. This is bigger than one house. It's about every relationship you have. Do not think this story is only about one house. It is bigger than that. This is about every relationship you have, because the pattern is the same everywhere. When you allow too much, people take too much. When you stay silent, people assume you agree. The lesson here is not just about family. It is about how you show up in life. If you accept control in one place, you may accept it in another. If you tolerate disrespect at home, you may tolerate it at work. This is about standards. And your standards do not change based on location. They follow you wherever you go. Raise them once. Raise them everywhere. The same pattern shows up at work. In friendships, in partnerships, look at your workplace. Have you seen the person who always stays late? Always takes extra tasks? Always says yes. At first, they're praised. Later, it becomes normal. Then it becomes expected. The same thing happens in friendships. One friend always pays. One friend always listens. One friend always adjusts. In partnerships, one person always sacrifices. The other gets comfortable. The pattern repeats because people respond to what is allowed. This is not about blaming others. It is about seeing clearly. If you do not protect your limits, every space can turn into pressure. People treat you based on what you allow consistently. Here is a simple truth. People treat you based on what you allow again and again. One bad moment can be corrected, but repeated silence becomes permission. If someone crosses a line and you say nothing, they will test it again. This is not cruelty. It is human nature. Children test limits. Adults do too. If you allow late night demands once, it may happen again. If you accept harsh tone once, it may become routine. Your response teaches people what is acceptable. If you want change, change what you allow. Teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. Teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. If you ignore your own needs, others will ignore them too. If you speak kindly to yourself and protect your time, others notice. When you value your rest, people think twice before wasting it. When you speak with calm confidence, people respond differently. Your behavior sets the tone. If you rush to please, people expect you to rush. If you stand firm, people adjust. Self-respect is not loud. It is steady. And steady behavior shapes how others behave toward you. Being needed is not the same as being valued. Many people confuse being needed with being valued. Being needed means someone depends on your effort. Being valued means someone respects your presence. You can be needed for what you do and still be taken for granted. Think about a worker who handles everything in the office. They are needed, but are they appreciated? Are they respected? Not always. Do not confuse dependence with care. Someone can depend on you and still not treat you well. Value is shown through respect, not just reliance. Being useful is not the same as being. Respected usefulness is about function. Respect is about worth. A tool is useful, but it is not respected as a human being. If people only notice you when you perform, that is not respect. Respect remains even when you rest. Respect listens when you speak. Respect honors your limits. Do not settle for being useful when you deserve to be respected. You cannot pour from a cup that others keep emptying. Imagine a cup. Every time you give, you pour a little out. That is normal. Giving is part of life, but if no one refills your cup and people keep taking, what happens? You become empty. And an empty cup cannot pour. You cannot keep giving from nothing. Rest is not weakness. Refilling is not selfish if you do not protect your energy, you will burn out quietly. Where else are you overextending and under-respecting yourself? Pause and reflect. Where else in your life are you overextending? Where else are you saying yes when you mean no? Is it at work? With friends? In daily tasks? Look honestly. Growth begins with awareness. If you can see the pattern, you can break the pattern. Do not limit. Say this clearly. That painful moment was not just an insult. It was a wake-up call. It forced you to see what had been building for years. Sometimes life shakes you to wake you up. That sentence, that threat, that disrespect, it opened your eyes. Do not waste that awakening. Some people live their whole lives asleep, accepting treatment that slowly breaks them. You were shown the truth. Now you must decide what to do with it. A wake-up call is not meant to hurt you. It is meant to prepare you. You are not anyone's unpaid worker. You are not anyone's unpaid worker. You were not born to serve without respect. Helping is noble. Caring is beautiful, but being forced into a role without appreciation is not your destiny. You have your own dreams, your own limits, your own needs. Never allow anyone to reduce you to a function. You are more than what you provide. Remember that are not disposable. You are not disposable. You are not an item to be removed when no longer useful. If someone can threaten to remove you easily, that says more about them than about you. Your worth does not decrease because someone fails to see it. Do not measure your value by someone else's attitude. Stand firm in who you are. Turn the threat into fuel. Let it strengthen you instead of breaking you. Underestimated. Rejection can either crush you or shape you. Choose growth. Let that painful moment remind you never to shrink again. Pain can either chain you or change you. Choose change. Even when others ignore it. Voice means you can speak. Use your choice wisely. Remember your value daily. No one can take these from you unless you hand them over. If not now, when will you stand up for yourself? If not now, when? How many more moments will you tolerate? What you should have said? There is no perfect time. There is only decision. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes. Stand up now. Even in small ways, small changes lead to big shifts, but it starts with one decision. Nat is a crown. Stop placing it at someone else's feet. Think of dignity as a crown. It sits on your head. It represents your worth. Every time you accept disrespect, you take that crown off and place it at someone else's feet. Stop doing that. Wear your crown daily. Not with pride. Strength. Protect your dignity. Choose respect and never trade your self-worth for temporary comfort. Again,